Have you ever, like, stopped and thought, what if reality isn't what we think it is?
Whoa.
What if it's all, like, a projection of our minds? Kind of freaky, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
The Chitta-matra, or mind-only, school of Mahayana Buddhism.
Okay.
It's a pretty wild ride.
Yeah.
I've been going through some articles in your notes, and I'm excited to have my reality thoroughly warped.
Well, brace yourself, because Chitta-matra doesn't just say it's all in your head and leave it at that.
Right.
It builds a whole system of thought around it.
Okay.
With logic and reasoning, and it really digs deep into consciousness.
Yeah.
How we perceive the world.
Yeah.
And ultimately what's really real.
So it's not just denying that we have experiences, right?
Right.
Like, we still see things, we feel things.
Yeah.
But it's saying that the source of those experiences is different.
Exactly.
So where's the line?
Well, Chitta-matra doesn't say that we're imagining things out of thin air. Okay.
They acknowledge that we see things, hear things, feel things.
Oh.
But the twist is
Yeah.
the source of those experiences isn't some external independent object, but rather our own minds.
Oh, okay.
You sent me that article about a clay pot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I use that as an example. What's the pot about?
Well, when you see a pot, what's actually happening, you're having visual sensations of its shape and color.
Right.
Maybe feeling its texture if you touch it.
Okay.
But those are all sensations happening within your consciousness,
Okay.
not inherent qualities of the pot itself.
So it's less about there's a pot and I'm seeing it,
Yeah.
and more like my mind is creating the experience of pot based on all these inputs I'm getting.
Exactly.
Right.
Chitta-matra would say there's no single objective pot out there.
Right.
Just a collection of experiences arising in your mind. And this applies to everything we perceive.
Whoa.
Yeah. It really challenges that whole idea of a shared external world existing independently of us.
But wait, if my mind is creating my reality and your mind is creating yours, aren't we like walking around in separate universes? How does that even work?
Yeah, that's where Chitta-matra gets even more mind-bending.
Okay.
They introduce this concept of the three natures.
Okay.
To explain how reality can be both mind-created and have some consistency to it.
Three natures. All right, I'm all ears.
All right. The first one is called the imputed nature.
Okay.
And this is the level where we get tripped up. We mistakenly think our mental projections are solid, independent objects.
Okay.
Like seeing that clay pot.
Right.
And assuming that potness is like a real quality rather than just our mind labeling a bunch of sensations.
So the imputed nature is like our default setting.
Yeah, exactly.
How we're wired to see the world.
Yes.
It's separate, solid. But Chitta-matra is saying there's more to it.
Right. There's more to the story.
Okay, what else is there?
So then there's the dependent nature.
Okay.
Which acknowledges that things arise, but dependently on causes and conditions within the mind. And this is where the concept of karma comes in.
Okay, so
all your actions, thoughts, even stuff from past lives create imprints in the mind.
Past lives. Hold on, are we talking reincarnation here too?
Yeah, Chitta-matra, it ties into the broader Buddhist worldview.
Okay, yeah.
So those imprints, they're called karmic seeds.
Okay.
And they shape our experiences in this life.
So you're saying that our experiences from before, maybe even from past lives, they're shaping our reality now. That's a lot. It's fascinating, but kind of daunting. Are we like destined to repeat the same patterns?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's not about being trapped by the past. Remember, Chittamatra really emphasizes understanding how this all works. So recognizing those karmic influences, it can actually help us make more conscious choices in the present.
Okay.
So, for example, let's say you have this pattern of getting into arguments with authority figures.
Oh, yeah. I know someone like that.
Right. Maybe there's a karmic seed from a past life.
Okay.
Where you had a negative experience with authority.
Interesting. So by becoming aware of that seed, you can change how you react.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's about understanding those deeper influences, those seeds.
Okay.
And then working with them skillfully.
Yeah.
Rather than just being controlled by them.
Okay. I can see how that's empowering. It's not about blame. It's about, like, awareness. Yeah. Choice.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these three natures.
Yeah.
The imputed nature, that's our illusion, right?
Exactly.
The dependent nature, that's cause and effect in the mind.
Yeah.
And then, what was the third one again?
The third one?
The ultimate one.
The ultimate one, yes. The perfected nature.
Perfected nature. Okay, and then...
That's the ultimate reality.
Yeah.
Free from all those dualistic illusions.
Okay. So we have the everyday illusion, the cause and effect level, and then this, like, ultimate ground of being. It's like, I don't know, like a video game. Yeah. You have the graphics on the screen, the code running it, and then the actual processing power of the computer itself.
Exactly, yeah.
But how do we bridge that gap? Like, how do we go from...
Yeah, that's a great question.
...seeing those video game graphics... ...to experiencing the raw power?
That's where some key Buddhist practices come in.
Okay.
Especially meditation.
Yeah.
But before we get to that...
Yeah.
There are a few terms we need to unpack.
Okay.
To really understand how Chittamatra explains all of this.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so first term, citta. It just means consciousness.
Okay.
The basic act of being aware of, knowing something.
Seems simple, but for Chittamatra, this is where everything starts.
So citta is like the foundation. Like without, you can't have any other experience.
Exactly. Imagine like a blank canvas.
Okay.
You can't paint anything without the canvas, right?
Right.
So similarly, without citta, there's no ground for any experience to even occur.
It's like the blank screen before a movie starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. So what's next?
All right. Now, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Alaya-vijñāna, often translated as store consciousness.
Store consciousness.
Think of it like a cosmic hard drive.
Okay.
Storing like imprints of every action, thought, experience.
Of this life.
From all your past lives.
Whoa, hold on. So not just this life, but like all the past lives.
Yeah.
That's a lot of data.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
It's a vast reservoir of karmic seeds, you could say.
Karmic seeds.
Yeah, and these seeds, they're constantly influencing our thoughts, feelings, perceptions, everything in this present moment.
So what you're saying is that our past experiences, even from other lives, are shaping what we're experiencing right now.
Exactly.
That's, that's both amazing and kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, are we just destined to repeat the same patterns?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's not about being, like, trapped by the past, right?
Right.
Remember, Chittamatra emphasizes understanding.
Yeah.
Understanding how this all works. So recognizing those karmic influences, it can actually help us make more conscious choices.
So it's not about blame. It's about...
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah. Like, for example, let's say you have this recurring pattern of getting into arguments with authority figures.
Yeah, I know a few people like that.
Right? So maybe maybe there's a karmic seed from a past life where you had a negative experience with authority.
So then, by knowing that,
Right.
you could change how you react. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about understanding those deeper influences.
Okay.
Working with them skillfully.
Yeah.
Not just being controlled by them blindly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's more about awareness and choice.
Exactly.
Okay. So we have citta, the ground of experience.
Yeah.
Alaya-vijñāna, the storehouse of all that past stuff.
The karmic seeds.
The karmic seeds. What's the third one?
The third one is Sva-samvedana.
Sva-samvedana.
Which basically means self-awareness.
Self-awareness, okay.
Yeah. It refers to the mind's ability to know its own states, its own mental states.
Okay.
Directly. Without needing to think about it.
So, I don't have to analyze whether I'm happy or sad. I just know.
Exactly. Like, you don't have to think about, am I feeling this? You simply experience it.
Okay.
And for Chittamatra, this points to the fundamental nature of awareness itself.
Okay.
It doesn't rely on external objects.
Right.
Or even a separate self.
Yeah. So even if we can't be certain about the outside world, whatever that is,
right? Yeah,
we can at least be certain of our own awareness.
Precisely.
Yes.
Sva-samvedana really highlights that undeniable reality of subjective experience. This is the big deal because it's suggesting that awareness is the most fundamental aspect of reality, even more so than any physical object.
More fundamental than matter.
Yes, that's what they're saying.
Okay. So if it's all mind created, though, does that mean we can just wish for things and they'll appear?
That's a great question.
Can I just project $1 million into my bank account?
That gets to the heart.
Yeah.
Of how Chittamatra views the relationship between mind and reality.
Okay.
It's not quite that simple.
Okay.
Remember that concept of dependent origination we talked about?
Right, that web of cause and effect.
Yeah, everything arises from causes and conditions.
Okay.
So even though it's all happening within the mind,
yeah,
there's a process to it. There's a kind of a lawfulness to how things unfold.
Our thoughts and intentions are part of that process.
Yes.
But they're not the only factor.
Right, they're not the only thing.
Okay.
It's like imagine planting a seed, right?
Okay.
You need the seed.
Okay.
But you also need the soil, the water, the sunlight.
So wishing for a giant sunflower,
right?
It won't just magically appear.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to tend to it. You have to, nurture it.
So it's not about controlling reality. It's more about understanding how those karmic seeds interact with our intentions to shape what we experience.
You got it.
Okay.
And this understanding, it has some pretty profound implications.
Okay.
For how we live our lives.
Like what?
For one thing, it can help us loosen the grip of our attachments, our aversions,
How so?
Well, think about something you really, really crave.
Okay.
Or something you really fear. If you see those things as solid and independent, like they're really out there.
Yeah.
You're more likely to get caught up in wanting them or pushing them away.
But if I see them as projections,
right,
like ultimately just coming from my mind, maybe I can relate to them differently.
Exactly.
It doesn't make them less real.
Right, they're still real in our experience.
But it's the way we see them.
Exactly.
That makes a difference.
It's about approaching them with more, wisdom and equanimity.
This is really making me think differently about my own desires and fears.
Right.
It's like if I can just remember it's all a creation of the mind.
Yeah.
Maybe those things won't have such a hold on me. But is that all there is to it? Just understanding it in my head?
Well, that's where meditation and other contemplative practices come in.
Okay.
But first, I think there's one more crucial point.
Yeah.
That often comes up with Chitta-matra. It's this question of, like, so what?
Yeah.
If it's all mind created.
Right.
Does that mean nothing matters?
Right. Does that mean there's no point in doing anything? Like, if it's all just a projection, why even bother?
That's the classic challenge, right?
Yeah.
To any idealist philosophy.
Right.
Does it lead to apathy or inaction? But Chitta-matra is actually quite practical.
Okay.
In its implications. Remember, we talked about dependent origination.
Right. That web of cause and effect.
That web of cause and effect playing out within the mind.
So even if there's no fixed reality out there, our actions still have consequences.
Exactly. They create those karmic seeds.
Right.
Which then shape future experiences.
But how does that translate into actually changing things? Like, how does this lead to a more, ethical way of being?
Well, it starts with understanding that our actions, they don't just impact, like, us as these isolated individuals. Yeah. Because everything's interconnected within the mind.
Right.
Our actions, they ripple outwards, affecting the whole tapestry of reality.
It's like in a dream.
Exactly, yeah.
Your actions affect the dream characters, the environment, even though it's all happening in your head.
Exactly.
So there's like a sense of responsibility. It's not just my own little bubble. Yeah. It's how my actions are contributing to the collective dream.
Exactly. And this is where meditation comes in. It's not just about stress reduction.
Right.
It's about cultivating a direct experience of that interconnectedness.
Okay.
And seeing how our minds create reality moment by moment.
Okay, so meditation is not just about zoning out.
Right.
It's about waking up to how all this works.
Exactly.
But how does it actually do that? Like, for someone new to meditation, how does sitting there help you see reality differently?
Okay, so imagine your mind like a pond.
Okay.
On the surface, there are waves, ripples, constantly stirred up by our thoughts and emotions. That's like our usual experience.
Yeah.
Caught up in that turbulent surface.
Mm-hmm. My mind's rarely a still pond, that's for sure.
Right. But through meditation, we can start to settle those waves.
Okay.
Allowing the mud at the bottom to settle too. And that mud, it's like our habitual patterns, our ingrained ways of seeing the world.
Okay.
So as it settles, we start to glimpse the pond's clear depths.
Okay.
That's the experience of the perfected nature, of pure awareness.
Wow, that's a beautiful analogy. So it's not about erasing our thoughts. It's about, like, creating space.
Exactly. Creating space, seeing them more clearly.
Okay.
And through that clarity, we start to see the interconnectedness, the dreamlike nature of it all.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So if we see things this way, does that naturally lead us to act differently?
Yes, I would say it naturally leads to more compassionate action.
Okay.
When you realize that everyone, even people who might seem like, they're causing you harm.
Right.
They're ultimately just operating from their own karmic conditioning, from that tangled web of mental causes and conditions.
Yeah.
It's harder to hold on to, like anger and blame.
It's like instead of seeing separate enemies, you see everyone as part of this shared dream.
Certainly, yes.
We're all caught up in our own little storylines. That's a pretty big shift.
It is. It is. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
But even just glimpsing this reality, even for a moment, can have a huge impact on how we live.
It's realizing we all have the potential to, like, wake up from those limiting narratives.
Yes.
And create something more compassionate. more interconnected.
Absolutely.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
Yeah.
To say the least. We went from like questioning the nature of reality to the depths of our own minds.
It's a journey for sure.
It's a lot.
And ultimately it's a journey back to ourselves, to that fundamental awareness that connects us all.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring. Maybe try out a meditation practice.
Yeah.
See if you can settle those waves.
Settle the mud?
Settle the mud in your own mind.
Yeah.
And if you feel like it, share what you find. Until next time, keep diving deep.